Welcome to Desmond's Donders. Let's head off on a donder. Welcome to our Marching North 2020 video series, and in this video we'll be looking at castles and lighthouses on Noss Head. Noss Head is a headland on the north-east coast of Scotland that overlooks Sinclairs Bay. It lies approximately 3.1 miles northeast of Wick in Caithness in the Highlands. A sea area of 800 hectares off Noss Head has been designated as a Marine Protected Area (MPA) since 2014. It is home to the largest bed of horse mussels known in Scottish waters, which lies at a depth of between 35 and 45 metres below sea level. Living amongst the mussel beds are many other species, including soft corals, tubeworms, barnacles, sea furs, sea mats, brittle stars, crabs, worms and molluscs. The MPA is designated a Category 4 protected area by the International Union for the Conservation of Nature. We arrived at the park up just as the sun was going down, and of course Lindsay leapt straight out to take these sunset pictures. Castle Sinclair Gurnigo is located about 3 miles north of Wick, on the east coast of Caithness, Scotland. It is considered to be one of the earliest castle seats of Clan Sinclair. It comprises the ruins of two castles, the 15th century Castle Gurnigo and the early 17th century Castle Sinclair. The earlier Castle Girnigo was built by William Sinclair, the 2nd Earl of Caithness, probably sometime between 1476 and 1496, but certainly before his death at the Battle of Flodden in 1513. There is some evidence to suggest that the castle was built on the foundations of an earlier fort. In 1577, George Sinclair, the 4th Earl of Caithness, imprisoned his own son, John, the Master of Caithness, in Castle Girnigo, on suspicion of rebelling against his rule. He was held there for 7 years, after which his father fed him a diet of salted beef with nothing to drink, so that he eventually died insane from thirst. Expansion occurred in 1606 when Castle Sinclair was built, comprising a gatehouse and other buildings along with a curtain wall. These were connected to the earlier castle by a drawbridge over a ravine. The same year, George Sinclair, the 5th Earl of Caithness, requested the Scottish Parliament to change the name to Castle Sinclair, but because of the names Castle Sinclair and Castle Girnigo were both written down in 1700, both names have been in use since. Robert Sinclair describes Girnigo as an adapted 5-storey L-plan crow-stepped gabled tower house, which sat upon a rocky promontory jutting out into Sinclair Bay. Of interest is the secret chamber in the vaulted ceiling of the kitchen. Changing subject for a moment. Noss Head Lighthouse. The Noss Head Lighthouse is an active 19th century lighthouse near Wick in Caithness. It is located at the end of Noss Head, a peninsula on the northeast coast of Caithness that overlooks Sinclairs Bay, northeast of Wick. It is notable as being the first lighthouse that was built with a diagonally patterned lantern room. The need for the lighthouse was promoted by the Northern Lights Commissioners. The light first entered service in 1849 and consisted of a 59-foot cylindrical tower which is painted white. It supports a single gallery and a lantern with a black cupola. There are 76 steps to the top of the tower. Adjacent to the tower are a pair of keepers' cottages and subsidiary buildings bounded by a walled compound. The lighthouse was built by Mr. Arnott of Inverness, with the construction being overseen by the notable lighthouse engineer Alan Stevenson, who for the first time used the diagonal glass panes and framing for the exterior lamp. Considered to be both stronger and less likely to interrupt the beam from the optic, the design was employed as the standard for all future lighthouses built by the board. As a way to provide work for those local people being affected by the Highland potato famine and needed poor relief, labourers were hired at a rate of 3 shillings and 6pence a day to construct an access road from Wick to the lighthouse. In 1987, the light was converted to automatic operation. The same year, all the former keepers' cottages and related structures were sold, along with the 39 acres of land upon which they were built. The sole exception being the lighthouse tower, which in 2018 is still owned and operated by the Northern Lighthouse Board. In October 2017, the main rotational light at Noss Head was extinguished by the Northern Lighthouse Board and a new static LED beam was installed. There is no longer a characteristic loom of light across the sea from Noss Head. Returning to the castle. In 1672, George the 6th Sinclair Earl of Caithness was in heavy debt to his fourth cousin John Campbell of Glenorchy and transferred the castle to Campbell as payment. When Sinclair died 4 years later with no heir, Campbell claimed the title Earl of Caithness and married Sinclair's widow. However, Sinclair's first cousin, George Sinclair of Keith, challenged Campbell's title and hostilities broke out in January 1680. When Sinclair of Keith, with supporters from Wick, made an attack on Gurnigo, destroying the roofs, walls and floors. In July, Campbell slept on the castle grounds the night before his counter-assault, known as the Battle of Altimarlach, in which he prevailed. The dispute was finally settled in 1681 when the Privy Council gave George Sinclair the title of Earl of Caithness, but allowed Campbell to remain owner of the land. The castle, so damaged by the siege of 1680, was never inhabited again. They are designated as a scheduled monument. Just like at the castle down the coast, Old Wick Castle, the former have moved in. No respecters of government scheduling. for watching Desmond's Donders. We'll hope you'll join us again for more photos, waffle and me as we travel around Scotland. Bye for now.